This is the third and final part of our three-part series on preparing and delivering a presentation. We are going to concentrate this time on the use of audiovisual aids. So we've covered our objectives pertaining to the basic principles of good presenting, and now we're going to move on to preparing and using good audiovisual materials. So some really basic rules about audiovisual material. If you are going to use audiovisual material, you should cater for one slide per minute, but aim to talk for only about 75% of your allocated time. This allows both for discussion from the audience and also for some overrun on your part. In any talk, you can't cover more than about 5 main topics for the entire talk. If you try to do more than this, your audience will not retain it. Similarly, on each slide, you should have a maximum of 5 points. If you have more than that, the slides get too busy and you present your audience with information overload. And you should word your points so that each point should fit on one line. Always check spelling and grammar. These things can be very annoying to an audience. Little mistakes in spelling, little mistakes in grammar. Before I move on, I just want you to think about something. In any presentation, before you start working on your audiovisual material, think about whether you need any audiovisual material or not. I will suggest to you 2 situations in which audiovisual material is probably no more than a distraction. The first is when you are speaking in depth about a topic about which you are passionate. In fact, in those situations, it's often better to speak directly to the audience and let them share your passion. If you put audio-visual material between you and the audience, you're actually spoiling things for them. The second is a situation in which the topic itself is emotional or generates controversy or high levels of passion, and then particularly in situations where this is the main thing about the topic and the actual detailed content is less important. Again, putting an audiovisual aid between yourself and the audience actually distracts from the passion and emotion of the topic. Anyway, let's move on to talk more about our audiovisual material. When you're making up the slide, try to use a light text on a dark background or vice versa. Blue tends to be a suiting color, but you can try other colors if you like. Try to use a consistent background and text, because if you keep changing the background and the format, that can be extremely distracting for your audience. And don't overdo the special effects. Remember, your audiovisual aids are simply aids. They are not the main part of the show. You are. Actually, your topic is. Remember to break up the monotony. Just pure text slides can become extremely boring. So insert pictures, use cartoons, and sometimes just put in blank slides to remind you that at that point you might want the audience to participate in some activity or have a discussion. Now we're going to show you a slide, and I want you to tell me what you think is wrong with it and then how you think it can be improved. But when you're talking about improving, think about some specific suggestions. Okay, so clearly that was not a very well put together slide. The title was too long. The whole slide was much too wordy. There were too many different fonts and effects. There were errors in spelling and grammar, And actually, that included the use of things like multiple exclamation marks, which are just silly. Some of the fonts were hard to see on the background that we used. And there was use of non-standard abbreviations, which can cause absolute confusion to your audience. Now we're going to take the same information that was on that previous pretty bad slide and present it to you differently. Again, I want you to look at this and say which slide you think was more effective, and also what makes the two slides different. So in that second slide, you saw what an effective aid looks like. It's an aid. It was deliberately made boring so that you can just get the information on it and it doesn't distract you. The wording is minimal. You don't have special effects that distract the audience, and we have checked the spelling and grammar. Okay, so that was a very quick run through some key points on audiovisual aids. We didn't cover everything. Remember that it can be really helpful to use things like videos within your slides. Again, make sure that you understand the technology. The more complicated the technology, the more likely it is that mistakes will be made or glitches may occur. If you have any questions about this very brief presentation, you can post your questions on our WhatsApp group or email me or bring it up in class on a Wednesday. This was the final part of our 3-part series on preparing and delivering a presentation. We covered the environment, set, dialogue, and closure, and in this last lecture we talked about simple rules to use when preparing audiovisual aids. Thank you for listening. I hope that these 3 little lectures will help you to prepare and deliver very effective presentations. Bye.